Look at that. We are live again. Live on a Monday afternoon. Well, it's Monday afternoon here. I don't know what time or day of the week it is where you are, but it is definitely 4 p.m. on a Monday here on the east coast of Australia. And welcome to It's Time to Lead Different. It's time to learn different. Or, as I like to call it, the leadership lies you've been told. It's time to start building leaders for the future because what we have been doing so far has not proven to be working. Uh, Very excited. I'm seeking to every week to be able to share this message with everyone here on all platforms as an opportunity to really open people's minds to what we need to do going forward into the future. Actually, we should start doing it now, not even wait for the future to be doing it, to be honest. But nonetheless, uh, if you think about the world today and that is craving leadership, and we need to look at not only do we need to lead different, of course, we need to lead our organizations different. The world has changed, work has changed, people have changed, but unfortunately, leadership hasn't changed hardly at all. And not only has leadership not changed, nor has the way that we train leaders significantly. And in a world that's craving leadership, something has to give. And we can't keep doing what we've always done and expect a new result because last time I checked, that's what they called the definition of insanity. So let's dive into this here. Bring it up here on the screen. So, what I want to talk about is understanding leadership, a journey of evolution. Okay, we need to really consider what if we've gotten leadership development backwards? What if we've been asking the wrong question? And I've been having this conversation with a lot of people in different formats recently at the Australian Human Resource Institute and other speaking engagements and conversations. The magic doesn't happen when you find the answers. The magic happens when you find the right questions to ask. And unfortunately, we've been asking the same questions, usually of the same people, and we're getting the same answers, and we're wondering why nothing's different. So, what if we've been asking the wrong questions about leadership and leadership development? What if the answer isn't about knowing more about leadership, but actually becoming more of the leader that you're capable of? So that's what we're going to go through today. I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey of evolution of leadership as a concept. So I want all of you who are watching this, listening to this, watching this after the fact, to think about this. Most leadership development that you may have done, or you may have sent your teams to do or participate in, you send them away for a 2-day offsite or a 1-day, 3-day, 5-day, you name it. They come back inspired. They come back really fired up, and it was really great. The facilitator was amazing, and it was such a great experience. But within 3 weeks later, nothing actually has changed. So I don't know if that sounds familiar to many of you, but we have this great experience that happened. Lots of great stuff, had met a lot of really great people, but then we're back in the realities of the workplace, and nothing significant has actually changed. I know this sounded familiar to me in my days in leadership development when I was growing up as a leader through the corporate, public sector, private sector, not for profit, and all the different industries that I've worked in across 3 continents over the last 35 odd years in leadership as a practitioner. That I've been on a lot of these courses and programs and come back inspired and felt really great. But in the end, of course, nothing significant had changed. But please understand, you're not alone. And it's definitely not your leader's fault. It's the fact that the model is broken. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is by Buckminster Fuller. And he said that you don't change things by fighting the existing reality. If you want things to change, you create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. So perhaps it's time for a new model. But let's talk about the old one first. Here's traditional thinking. You send the people away to the 5-day leadership course or program, and by day 5, they're likely forgotten most of day 1's content. They have information overload. The brain can't even process the amount of information, let alone retain any of it or hardly any of it. So we end up with poor retention. You have limited time to actually practice or conceptualize those concepts back into the workplace. And after 31 days later, we'll go through this statistically in just a moment, more in depth, but you're lucky to retain about 21% of the content. There's no structured reinforcement after the fact, and learning happens in isolation and away from real workplace challenges. But that's the way we've always done it. So there's a thing called the forgetting curve, and this was found by or uncovered by Herman Ebbinghaus back in 1901, 1909. Get my dates right. So if you go back, I think it was 1885. That was probably when he was alive. So 1885, I think he published this study, which is like 140 years ago, if my math is correct. So for about 140 years, we've known this to be true, this forgetting curve. And fundamentally, it is what it says here on the screen. Within 20 minutes, people typically retain about, say, 60% of the information that they've absorbed. After 1 hour, 44, after 1 day, 33, after 6 days, 25, but after 31 days, only 21% of the original information remains in your memory. So when we send people away to a 5-day course and they come back, they're only going to remember 20% of it if they're lucky, and they'll be back in the workplace and distracted by the realities of what they have to do in the day-to-day job. And we've known this for 140 years. Yet we keep building our leadership development on this. Now, on top of that, not only do we build the leadership development in terms of the way we train people through this 140-year-old lie, also what we call leadership today is it's mainly, and to be fair, mainly modern management practices. There's very little people leadership happening in most leadership training and development courses that you'll go today. Most of it is what we call modern management practices. And in today's world, whilst management had its place, please understand this core philosophy or principle that leadership is simple. You lead people and you manage resources, and people are not a resource. Let me say that one more time. People are not a resource. We should have resources for humans, not humans as a resource. So we have been treating people like a resource in the workplace. Therefore, we've been developing leaders as managers, actually, and teaching them modern management practices because you manage resources. But now we have this thing called AI, and it's going to take away a lot of the management type stuff, where it's going to become the resource for humans. And now we don't need management, but we're still going to need leadership, and we're going to need more of it. So before we get any further, like, who are we? Who is Circle Leadership? And why should you trust what we're about to share with you today? Well, some important things to understand about Circle Leadership Global as an organization that's here to evolve the world of work. We actually see a world where work positively impacts people on the planet. Can you imagine where people get excited about going to work every day? The simplest way that we explain this to people is that we turn TGIF into TGIM. Thank God it's Monday, people. Like, I love the work I do. I love the people I do it with, and I love the people I do it for. And I just wish that for everybody. Can you imagine if everyone in your organization felt like TGIM rather than TGIF? Well, that's what Circle Leadership's all about. We are actually a team of practitioners who have all led teams. We're not theorists or academics. We're not people who have studied leadership or studied other people's leaderships and then market and promote that. We are a team of practitioners who have worked with and or for some of the world's best leaders that none of you would have the privilege of knowing unless you also had the chance to work with them. And three of us here, Justin, myself, and Gavin, are all written authors on the subject of leadership from different perspectives as practitioners. So what we're talking about here is everything that we've learned from doing leadership, being leaders, and not just from studying leaders only. So you're going to get this information from actual practitioners who have been on the floor, who have been in the kitchen, in the engine rooms, out on the factory floor, where you and your teams all are as well, across multiple industries. We also have Nikki, Jordan, and Colin in our team, and a couple of new people coming on, but I can't tell you who they are at the moment. But nonetheless, the main thing is that. And then me, who am I? Well, as the Master Certified Practitioner here at Circle Leadership, first and foremost, I am the proud dad of 3 amazing humans. My greatest leadership role I ever have in life is helping my children to become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work, whatever that is, while they were in my care and beyond. G'day, Alonzo. Thank you for chiming in, man. Man, I don't know what time it is where you are, brother, but I appreciate you being online right now. Yeah, and also world's greatest husband, self-proclaimed, by the way. But as the founder of Circle Leadership, I'm also the international chair for the Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce, the largest commerce chambers of commerce across the globe. And I'm also an ambassador for the Global Company Culture Association. I'm an ambassador for Inspiring Rare Birds and a mentor for that organization for female leaders and entrepreneurs across Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. And I am a accidental author of Simplified, Humane, and It's Time to Lead Different. And you'll find that I am a very blunt contrarian when it comes to leadership in the world today, and definitely a far better golfer in my brain than I am in capability. So you can see that we have some experience in this space. So if you are interested to hear what the possibility of the future could look like from a leadership perspective, please continue to listen and watch and join in the conversation. And if not, that's okay. Totally understand that. But what I want to share with you is going to be absolutely critical for the future, because here's one thing that I know to be true today, that today's workforce is built for tomorrow's workplace. It's just not here. So what is modern thinking then? If we've looked at what traditional thinking is, as practitioners, what we have found over time is in modern thinking is that spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. That's modern thinking suggests that effective learning requires at least 3 to 7 repetitions. Now, statistically, I've learned over time that for any idea or concept to be accepted 60 to 90%, it doesn't usually happen until after the 6th repetition. Okay, so when you think about that, thank you, Alonzo, man. Appreciate you. Right? And by the way, one of the funniest human beings you'll ever meet, and he can teach you a lot about comedy and how comedy can help you become a better leader, because he certainly helped me a lot. So these ideas or concept to be retained for that 60 to 90%, it's not only just 6 repetitions like we used to do at school, where we'd write lines. But the reason they got us to write lines is they were trying to get us to repetitively imprint an idea into our mind that we would no longer do the bad behavior that we were demonstrating in school. Well, at least the bad behavior I was demonstrating, perhaps. Now, but it has to be spaced out rather than crammed. Okay, so this is critical to understand. It's not just repeat. It's got to be spaced out over a period of time. And it needs to be active, not passive. And it needs to be in different contexts or formats. So any development, any training that you're doing, it needs to be built into repetition. Those repetitions need to be spaced out. They need to be active, not passive. And they need to be in different contexts or formats. That is modern thinking in any training and development methodology. So this is why when we think about now, it's time to lead different, not harder, not louder, different. If we want to think about leading different, the first thing we need to do is come up with a clear definition of what leadership actually is in the modern world. And as I've already alluded to, over 3 continents, 35 years in leadership roles as a practitioner, and training and teaching leadership and coaching, facilitating leadership development, you name it. I've been asked many a times, Dave, you do all this leadership stuff. What does actually leadership mean to you? And I sat on that question for a long time. And I finally marinated on my answer, and I came up with an answer. And then also at the same time, people were asking me like, hey, Dave, like you do all this stuff on leadership, where's your book on leadership? But I didn't want to be another Me Too author on leadership, because there's a whole bunch of stuff out there on modern management thinking and leadership as it is believed to be. And until I could get my own message clear as to what it really meant to me, I didn't bother. And then that's when I wrote Simplified. Leadership is simple, you lead people, because I finally uncovered my definition of leadership, which we still use today at Circle Leadership, which is pretty much the whole philosophies and principles, what they're founded or grounded in. And our definition of leadership is fundamentally this: that leadership is all about helping other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while they're in your care and beyond. Okay, so it's about helping other people become their best to do their best while in your care and beyond as a leader. That's what leadership is to us at Circle Leadership. Now, when you look at this definition of leadership here, where in there does it say that you need a position or title to demonstrate leadership? Hopefully you can see that and go, well, no, it doesn't. So the first thing we need to understand about leadership in the modern world today is that we want to develop all-around leadership, not more top-down leaders. Leaders develop or build more leadership, not more leaders. We need more all-around leadership. Top-down leadership is a thing of the past, and all-around leadership is the way forward. And we think about in the world of AI right now, we're going to be having AI take care of a lot of the doing, and we'll talk more about this towards the end. But with AI taking care of more of the doing in your organization and agentic AI in place, your people in your organization may be leading a team of 3, 4, 5 AI agents, and they're going to need to be able to demonstrate leadership. Even though they're not human beings, they're going to lead a team of agents who are going to be doing work. So all around leadership becomes even more important in your organization. The second part of this definition is the last part that's most important as well. And that says, while in your care and beyond. When you think about this definition of leadership, what does while in your care and beyond make you think about when you think of the concept of leadership? If I'm here to help people become their best, to do their best while in my care and beyond, that means that what it should be hopefully getting you to start think about is that I need to care about this person as a human being first and an employee second. I can't help you become the best version of yourself if all I care about is Dave the employee and not Dave the human. Okay, so we need to look at people as human beings first, employees second. And so that, once again, is why leadership is all about people. You lead people and manage resources, and people are not a resource. Okay, so this definition should help you to understand that we need all-around leadership, not more top-down leadership. We need not more layers of leaders, but more depth and strength of leadership in our organization. So deeper into the concept of leadership and more of it all around our organization. And we should be looking at people as human beings first, employees second. And the fact that AI is going to turn everybody into a sense of leading a team. So they're all going to need to understand leadership as a principle. So when you think about your organization, everything can be copied in your organization today. Your AI, your tech stack, your branding, your products, services, your bricks and mortar, your website, every single thing can be copied about your business today, except for one thing. What's the only thing that nobody can copy about your business, right? And that is your ability to capture the spirit of your people. Right? You can, in today's world, we're taught, or we understand now, perhaps even, that you need to use AI to stay competitive. You're not going to lose your job or your business to AI. You will lose it to someone using AI or leveraging AI when you're not. I get it. But that will help you stay competitive. But your only one true sustainable competitive advantage that you have is your ability to capture the spirit of your people. So when you think about that, it's your culture, obviously, that is your true sustainable competitive advantage. It's the only one thing that people cannot copy about your business. So this is why leadership becomes so critical, because you're going to need to have the right leadership in your organization that can capture the spirit of people. You can't manage belonging. You can't manage caring. You can't manage creativity, right? You be creative. You be curious. You don't do creative. You don't do curious. So leadership's going to become critical in your organization, because capturing the spirit of your people is your one true sustainable competitive advantage. So when you think about that, for all the people there, business owners, leaders who may be watching this, let me make this very clear that businesses do not run out of money. What businesses do run out of, though, is ideas and innovation. And ideas and innovation come from people, not budgets. Therefore, it's a finding game, not a funding game, that's going to determine how successful you are. Even in a world of AI, you may need less, but you will still need the best. So please understand that your business doesn't run out of money. It's run out of ideas and innovation. And that comes from people, not budgets, and not AI. So we need to find the best talent. We need to attract the best talent. And we need to develop the living daylights out of that talent while it's here. And we need to unleash that talent, the humanity of that talent, into our workplace, because it's not the biggest that will win. It's the most human that will win going forward. The most human organization is what's going to win. And most organizations today who have deployed AI excessively are starting to crawl back all the humans that they let go because they thought AI was going to solve all their problems for them. And what they realized is they just created more problems because they just sold the humanity of their business, and it ended up costing them. Okay, so the most human organization is the one that will win going forward. And that takes leadership. So, what do we need to do? If we understand that the way that we're teaching leadership in organizations today, the 1 day, 3 day, 5 day courses, slap a certificate up behind my head and go, look at me, I'm a leader. And we used to measure leadership success or from an organization by completion rates. Oh, I completed a certificate. Oh, I got a credit. Uh, like that is not an effective way to demonstrate that the investment you've made in leadership development is working. So we know that the methodology of training isn't working. We also know then that the content that we've been training people on is no longer effective either. Whilst management skills and modern management theories were all valid, but they're not valid in today's world. So what what's the alternative? What's perhaps the new model that will make this old model obsolete? Well, I'd like to introduce you to what we call the Leadership Evolution Action Plan. It is something we've been offering to our clients as part of our services for a long time, but now we're making it very public. So people who are not technically in our next 90 business evolution process or in our roadmap, they can have access to the leap as well. And I want to share with you then what a new model that could make the old model obsolete actually looks like. Firstly, it is built on this singular premise that less is more often. You need to stop adding more programs and start building better leaders, right? And we do that by focusing on less and understanding that deeper and then doing that more often. So less is more often. And it uses our proprietary methodology of content times context equals concept. Okay? This is something that everything that we do is built off this simple fundamental methodology. You learn content, then you multiply that by your own context, and then you take actions to embed that and take ownership of the concept. So basically, it looks like this as a formula. We teach you the content as an individual, then we educate through group coaching the context. So not only in a coaching format, but with peers in other industries who are doing the same roles as you, to contextualize right there in your situation, in your workplace, with a peer group to actually make it applicable. And then you develop your own action plan on how you will embed it over the remaining time of that session. So we're going to focus on less. You're going to take some time through spaced repetition to absorb that content as an individual. Then you attend a group coaching context with peers to actually put that into meaningful situations for you in your workplace whilst leveraging other people who are going through similar process to learn from each other. So remember, in different formats and actually making it real, so active, not passive. And then you develop action plans to embed it. And it's built on this other fundamental principle, the 80-20 rule. The Pareto principle for many of you. So Pareto, the Italian economist, started studying the wealth in Italy, and he found that the top 20% of people owned 80% of the country's wealth. And then that 80-20 rule was then extrapolated across multiple things to become a wonderful rule of thumb. So what does that mean in the leadership development context? Well, all we focus on is the 20% of the things you need to know and do and learn and contextualize that will give you 80% of the results. So instead of going to a 1 day, 3 day, 5 day course, let's use a 5 day for simple mathematics and learning all that information that you're only going to remember 20% of anyway. We focus on the 20% that will give you the 80%. And then with that remaining time in each month, instead of actually spending it the 80% of the time learning the remaining 20%, you free up the 80% of time to put back into the original 20%. And then you can exponentially double down or triple down or quadruple down on the one thing that's going to produce the biggest result for you every month. Because less is more often. So can you imagine that? You take the thing that matters most, that's going to give you the biggest result. Then you take the time you would have spent learning all that other stuff that only gives you 20%, and free yourself up to take that time to get back into the workplace and to embed what you've just learned, to really consolidate and solidify it into your organization and your behavioral structure of your organization and your team and yourself. This is where one of the biggest shifts happen. So what does that look like? So taking it all together. So first and foremost, as your individual, there's content to consume. Now it's obviously available in video. You can listen to it. You can read it. So whichever your audio, visual, kinesthetic, whichever your preferred learning style is. And of course, over a 2 week period, you should get at least, if you listen to, read, or watch at least twice a week over a 2 week period, that's 4 times, which fits into the 3 to 7 repetitions spaced out to start to absorb and consume the content in a way that your brain can process it. Then, in the middle of the month, you attend a group coaching session to contextualize that, not only for yourself, but with your peers, to start to look at what does that really mean in the workplace, and to really start to look at how other people are using it so you can learn from others, as well as how you would look at it in your own workplace. And you develop peer accountability through that process. Then, the remaining 2 weeks of that month, you've developed an action plan that you're going to use to embed that learning. And then guess what? They do that for that month, and we keep doing it. Then the next month, you take another one, and you then start to, with repetition, to own that content, then contextualize it, then embed it through actions. And then next month, you take another piece and another piece. And then over a period of time, you go from being who you were as a leader to who you're capable of becoming. And month by month, you're steadily, progressively increasing your capabilities. Thus, your capacity for leadership greatness expands. And you do that month over month over month for a period of 12 months. So what's inside the Leadership Evolution Action Plan itself? Well, firstly, it's built on the evolution of leadership development itself. As we talked about before, that is about going deeper into the concept of leadership, not deeper in terms of layers of leadership. So there's 3 depths of leadership that we go into, and it starts with the leadership of self. Because as we all know, you can't lead anybody else until you learn how to lead yourself. So self-leadership is the first leadership, and self-awareness is the key to self-leadership. So the first thing we do is we dive into self-leadership. The first 3 months are spent learning, or invested in learning who I am, and who I'd like to become as a leader, and understanding how my mind works and how to expand my comfort zones and human behavior and all my strengths and weaknesses, and so that I can become the best leader I'm capable of, to teach other people how to do that for themselves. And then once you've done that, once you understand leadership of self, then you go to leader of teams, right? Because now that you understand how to lead yourself, you can help other people then become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. And then we spend the next 6 months going through how to become the best leader that you're capable of, and the leader that you want to be known for, or famous for, at the end of the year. And we look at obviously communication styles, how to be proactive, not busy, how to become a coach, not a boss, plus all the things you already learned in terms of self-awareness and many other concepts throughout the 6-month period. Then the last 3 months is spent on how to lead the business. So how do you then take all that great work you've been with those teams and facilitate that collective wisdom to achieve the greater good, or common goals together? So 3 months of leadership of self, 6 months in terms of leader of teams, and then 3 months of lead the business. Leadership, leader, lead. And this is how we go into the depth of leadership and create all around leadership and depth and strength, rather than just more layers of leaders in your organization. And each layer is built on the whole content times context equals concept methodology. And then at each stage of that development in terms of leadership, leader, lead, there are the lessons in there, but there's also tools in our Circle Leadership Toolbox that you can access to help you to become the leader that you're capable of, beyond just the sessions we're going through. There's a whole set of tools in the toolbox that you'll be able to access to further enhance your own development and that of your teams. And you can see there's a whole bunch of different videos on human behavior, my leadership style, my evolution theme, how your mind works. These are all things we cover in leadership of self, amongst many other things. So this is what each session looks like. Pretty much that there, you go into the Circle Leadership Toolbox, you access the session in terms of the Leadership Evolution Action Plan, and you'll see that there's a video, there's a description, everything of the session. Probably easier to show you this one here. So there's the video lesson, the session description, so you know what it's going through. There's diagrams, models, templates, or tools, whatever is used in each of those sessions for you to be able to have your own copy to work through while you're watching, listening, or reading through. You can go through the same exercise that I take you through as the Master Certified Practitioner of the LEAP. And there's also space in there to leave comments as you're going through the learning. If you want to ask a question that any one of your peers can either answer or our team can jump in and give you feedback on, you don't have to wait for the group coaching process to get information that you need to help you with your own development and your own learning. And then, of course, this is what the video looks like. Yours truly. This one happens to be on how your mind works, and this one's 9 minutes and 49 seconds. So for approximately 10 minutes twice a week over 2 weeks, that's 40 minutes to observe, obviously to absorb and learn the things that you need to do to prepare yourself for the group coaching session that you're going to have. And then this is an example of where I whiteboard through that video. There's the whiteboard template and actually the completed diagram. So you can whiteboard and draw along with it, and you can start to practice. And if you then kinesthetically, you want to start to do it, you can watch it, you can listen to it, you can draw along with it. So all the senses can be involved, or your preferred learning style can be embodied throughout the process. And some of the concepts that we dive into are how to treat people like human beings first, employees second, resources for humans, not humans as a resource, how to create personal connections to purpose, how to focus on punching out what people punch out, not when they punch in and out, how to delegate outcomes, not tasks to people, how to get people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work, how to shift from performance management to performance leadership, how to create culture and brand relationships through all the different, from self, team, and business. These are just some of the concepts that we work through. And then, as mentioned already, you have access to the Circle Leadership Toolbox, right? So all the tools, all the models, all the templates, everything that we have available that all our clients can access at any given time are here in the Circle Leadership Toolbox that you get full access to for the whole 12 months. And if it's not in there, you just have to ask for it. And if it's in our wheelhouse, we develop it because if you need it or want it, there's good chance that some other people may as well. And you can see the close up here. So there's different tools and templates that you can access. And once again, you can use them within your teams as well. It doesn't have to be just things for yourself, but there's some really cool exercises. Hey, I'd like to run this thing with my team. Great. In you go, get in there. And there's instructions on how to use them and how to use them as exercises or tools to work with your team in your organization. So if you're ready to start building leaders rather than training managers for a world that no longer exists, let's look at what's the real cost of that. What's the real cost of doing nothing, right? After seeing this and understanding that, yeah, okay, modern management theories not going to fly into the future. The way we train and develop those leaders in that modern management isn't going to fly either. But you still choose to do nothing because you're just going to keep doing what you did. Well, the cost of that is proven already, that 70% of, actually it's up to 74% now, a new study just came out, of employees are actually actively disengaged, and leadership is the primary cause for that. So can you imagine if you have 100 employees in your company, 74% of them, 74 human beings are disengaged in the work that they're doing, which means that they're just working paycheck to paycheck and doing whatever they need to do so they can go home and get on with their lives, not wanting to do a single thing to think about your business, think about the team, discretionary effort, bringing anything else to the table. They're doing whatever they can do just so they can get home. And that's costing organizations a lot of money. Most of the money spent on leadership development training, your budgets, only end up being spent on 10% of the things that actually matter. So if you're going to spend $100,000 on leadership training and development this year for your organization, 10,000 of it's probably about the rough estimate of what's going to actually have an impact. The other 90,000 you're probably wasting. But hey, that's your choice. Please understand also that people don't leave companies; they leave leaders or managers. They find in organizations that they like the people they work with, but they don't like the people they work for. They're tired of being treated like a resource, so they go, bugger this, I'm out. And that's something you just don't see or feel in your profit and loss statement until it's too late. So how many hours a week do you spend compensating for the leadership gaps that you've already paid to close? When you think about how much money have I spent on leadership training and development to close the gaps that I'm still compensating for, and then multiply that by 52. And then the cost of losing a couple of senior managers in your organization could be $600,000. It costs you $100,000, $300,000. Like, the cost is ridiculous. Yet we keep spending it every year. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that our leaders tell us about Leap and why it's great. Learning in real time with other leaders across multiple organizations makes the learning more relevant and timely. The bite-sized approach is perfect for commercial reality. Like, please understand, like, the sheer fact of the leadership development, the way that we do the leadership evolution action plan is designed around commercial reality to not have your people out of the office for significant long periods of time, but also when they are out or when they're not available in the workplace, that whatever they're learning and absorbing, they can apply immediately as soon as they get off of that call into the workplace. So here's the opportunity. We have a cohort coming up in July. We just closed the May one, but we have a cohort kicking off in July. We structure it to about 20 seats purely because we want to make sure that there's enough people in the group to be able to bounce ideas and work on that with, but also so that people have plenty of time. We don't need 100 people in each group because that wouldn't be effective. It's over 12 months. So it would go through July all the way through to June next year. And enrollments will be closing in the next couple of weeks. If that's something that you're interested in, please drop a line, drop a comment in here, and we'll reach out to you for no obligation call. I'm going to put a screenshot up here in a moment of a link that you can do book a call with. But please understand that you need to invest in human-centric leadership. There's only going to be two levers you're going to pull in your organization going forward in the future. You're going to deploy AI and you're going to employ humans. And the organization that wins is not only the one who can pull both those levers, but augment those two working perfectly together. And we're going to need to be able to develop leadership, all around leadership in an organization, because the leaders who can understand leadership and working with AI agents are the ones where we're going to augment that. So it's going to become critical for the success of the future of your organization. So number one, book a discovery call. Just have a chat with us. Is Leap right for you? I can go into more detail about anything in particular. No pitch, no pressure. We're very selective about who goes into the Leadership Evolution Action Plan to make sure that we have the right group and the community that builds on that. You can confirm how many of your team you would like to involve in that. And then step 3, let's get them going and start evolving the leaders that you're capable of having in your organization, including yourself. So your leaders are ready to evolve. The question is, are you ready to invest in them and that evolution? So here's the, I'll skip past that, get to here. This is it. I'll leave this on the screen as we finish up here. Please take a screenshot of this, pause this, get your phone over this. You'll be able to scan this, of course, and then set up and book at a time right directly into our calendar. And we'll sit down and we'll have a chat with you. Right? If you believe that it is time to lead different, then please understand it's time to learn different. And not only what we need to learn, but how we learn. Because everything has changed except for leadership hasn't. And we need to catch up with that very quickly, because the organizations that win are the ones that are the most human. And that's going to take leadership, not management. So appreciate all of you tuned in. Alonzo, man, you're a legend. Please check out Alonzo. He runs this really great process. What you can learn from comedy in terms of being a speaker or running meetings, you name it. Fantastic what he does. Anybody else who's had comments in here, thank you so much for doing so. I will drop the link right here as we wrap up to the landing page. Make sure I put in the right one. That you can go to if you don't have this up on the screen. Here's the link. It should show up. There you go. circleleadershipglobal.com/learn-different. If you go to that, you can go learn more about Leap there, and or you can book your chance, your time to have a conversation with us to learn more about it and see if it's right for you and or your organization. But other than that, until next week, thank you everybody for your comments, thoughts, participation, and look forward to sharing with you more as we go forward.